Emily never believed in fate, but that morning, it felt like fate had other plans. She'd moved back to New York after 3 long years away. 3 years of pretending that she was fine, that Daniel was just another chapter closed. But standing in that little coffee shop on Fifth Avenue, the same one where he used to meet her every Friday, she realized how memories don't really fade. They just wait. The air smelled like roasted beans and rain. She was scrolling through her phone, trying to ignore the rush of nostalgia, when the doorbell jingled behind her. Something about the sound made her heart skip. She looked up, and there he was. Daniel, the one she'd tried so hard to forget. He looked different. A little older, maybe a little wiser, but still with that calm confidence that once made her trust him with her entire world. He hadn't seen her yet, and for a moment she wished he wouldn't. She could quietly leave, pretend this never happened. But before she could move, he turned, and their eyes met. Time froze. People moved, the world spun, but between them, everything went still. His expression changed, surprise, disbelief, and something softer. "Emily?" he said, and even his voice hit like a forgotten song. She forced a smile, trying to steady her breath. "Hey, long time." He walked closer, hesitating like he was afraid she'd disappear. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Neither did I," she said, clutching her coffee cup to hide the trembling in her hands. They stood awkwardly for a few seconds. The air between them was thick, not angry, not warm, just full of things left unsaid. He finally broke the silence. "Would you like to sit? Maybe talk for a bit?" Every rational part of her said no. "Walk away, don't open that door again." But there was something about his tone. Careful, gentle, almost pleading. It reminded her of who he used to be before everything fell apart. She took a slow breath. "Just coffee," she said. "Nothing more." They sat down near the window, the same corner they once called their spot. It was strange how easily small things brought everything back. The laughter, the plans, the promises that never happened. Daniel smiled faintly. "You look good, happier." She raised an eyebrow. "That's what people usually say when they don't know what else to say." He chuckled softly. "Fair, I guess I just don't know how to start," she nodded. "You could try with an apology." His smile faded. "I know. You deserve that." For the first time, his voice cracked a little. "I was a mess back then, Em. I didn't know how to explain what was going on. So I just disappeared, and that's on me." Hearing him say it didn't make it easier. It just made the ache return. The sleepless nights, the unanswered texts, the silence that turned love into confusion. She wanted to stay cold, but the honesty in his voice made that impossible. "Daniel, you didn't just leave," she said quietly. "You made me believe I wasn't worth staying for." He looked down, guilt flickering in his eyes. "I never stopped thinking about you. I just didn't think I had the right to come back." Emily leaned back in her chair, trying to hide the storm inside her. "Then why now?" He hesitated. "Because when I saw you walk in, I realized I'd still cross the city just to see you smile once." Her heart trembled. She hated that it did. It wasn't fair how easily he could still make her feel something after all this time. But before she could respond, her phone buzzed. A message from her new co-worker, Jake. Just a friendly reminder about their evening meeting. Daniel noticed the name flash on the screen. "Someone special?" he asked lightly, but there was a trace of jealousy in his tone. She looked up, half smiling. "Someone who actually showed up when they said they would." His jaw tightened, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. The rain outside grew heavier, tapping against the window like it was counting seconds. Emily felt her chest tighten. She didn't want to fall back into this. She had built a life, learned to be strong again. But sitting across from him, hearing his voice, seeing that same regret she once begged for, it felt like time was pulling her backward. Daniel sighed. "I'm not asking for another chance, I just wanted to explain." She shook her head. "You think words can fix what silence broke?" "No," he said. "But I had to try." Something in his voice made her look at him again. He wasn't trying to charm her. He wasn't pretending. For the first time, he looked real. Just a man who lost someone he never stopped caring for. Emily felt her guard slipping. "You hurt me, Daniel," she whispered. "I know. You can't just walk in and act like everything's okay." "I'm not," he said. "I'm just hoping you'll let me prove I've changed." Her heart ached. She hated that he still had this power over her. "People don't change overnight," she said. He smiled softly. "Then maybe I've been changing for 3 years." Something about that line hit her harder than she expected. Maybe it was the sincerity. Maybe it was the quiet way he said it. Not as a promise, but as a confession. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was full of emotion neither of them could name. Emily looked out the window, the rain blurring the city lights, and for a second, she saw the reflection of who they used to be. 2 people in love, trying to find each other again through the fog of time. When the rain finally stopped, Daniel stood up. "Can I see you again?" She didn't answer right away. Every instinct screamed no, but something in her heart whispered maybe. "Emily," he said softly, "I won't ask twice." She looked at him. The man who once shattered her heart, now standing there like someone who'd learned how fragile love could be. "Tomorrow," she said finally. "Same place, but if you disappear again, don't come back." He nodded, relief flickering in his eyes. "I won't." She watched him leave, the door closing behind him like a question mark. That night, as Emily walked home through the damp streets, she couldn't stop replaying every word, every look, every breath they shared. She told herself she was just curious, that meeting him again didn't mean anything, but deep down, she knew the truth. Old love never really dies. It hides, waits, and when you least expect it, it knocks on your favorite coffee shop door. She stood at her apartment window, watching the city lights blink like distant memories. Her phone buzzed, a message from Daniel. Just one line. "Tomorrow I'll be there." Emily smiled faintly. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe this time would be different. But as she turned off the lights and lay down, one question wouldn't leave her mind. What if tomorrow brings back everything she tried to forget? She closed her eyes, trying to sleep, unaware that Daniel's return wasn't just a coincidence. It was only the beginning. Emily wasn't sure why she agreed to see Daniel again. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was that tiny part of her heart that still wanted closure. Or something like it. The next day, she found herself walking toward that same coffee shop, pretending it was just another ordinary afternoon. But deep down, she knew it wasn't. He was already there, sitting by the window, 2 cups of coffee waiting. The same order, black for him, caramel latte for her. The small gesture made her chest tighten. She almost smiled, but caught herself. Daniel stood as soon as he saw her. "You came," he said softly. "I said I would," she replied, her tone calm but distant. They sat, the air heavy with unspoken memories. For a few minutes, neither knew what to say. It was strange how easy it was to talk about everything, except the things that actually mattered. Finally, Daniel broke the silence. "I've thought a lot about how things ended. I know I owe you more than an apology." Emily crossed her arms. "You owe me honesty. Start there." He nodded, taking a deep breath. "After I lost my job back then, things spiraled fast. My dad got sick. I couldn't pay the bills, and I didn't want you to see me like that. I felt small, useless." His words hit her harder than she expected. She remembered how he vanished, how she begged for an explanation. But this was something she'd never heard before. "So, you just walked away?" she asked quietly. "I thought disappearing was kinder than dragging you into my mess," he said. "I was wrong." Emily looked down at her cup, her reflection trembling in the surface. "You didn't even give me the chance to decide if I wanted to stay." "I know," he whispered. "I took that from you." For a moment there was silence again, not cold, but heavy. Something about the way he said it, the quiet regret, made her see him differently. He wasn't making excuses. He was finally telling the truth. "Daniel, I wanted you there," she said softly, "even if things were hard. That's what love was supposed to mean." He nodded, "And I didn't understand that until it was too late. A faint smile touched her lips. You always learn lessons the hard way. He laughed gently, the sound warm and familiar. Yeah, guess some things never change. For a while they just talked, about life, work, random things that didn't hurt. It almost felt normal, easy. But easy things are dangerous when you still care. Then, suddenly, his phone buzzed. Once, twice. The screen lit up with a name she didn't recognize. He reached for it quickly, flipping it face down. Emily noticed. Her heart gave a tiny, unwanted jolt. Who's that? She asked lightly, though her tone was sharper than she meant. He hesitated. Just someone from work. She leaned back, crossing her arms. You're a terrible liar, Daniel, he sighed, rubbing his temples. It's not what you think. Then what is it? She pressed. He looked at her, guilt flickering in his eyes. Someone I was seeing. Before I knew I'd run into you again. The words landed like a quiet blow. Not anger, just a deep, sinking ache. Emily nodded slowly, processing. And now? Now it's over, he said. The moment I saw you, I knew I couldn't pretend with anyone else. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust the way he looked at her. Sincere, regretful, hopeful all at once. But trust wasn't a switch you could just flip. It had to be rebuilt, and she wasn't sure she had the strength for that. Daniel, she said softly, you can't just come back into my life because you suddenly remembered what you lost. He frowned. It's not like that. Then tell me what it's like, she challenged. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like a man trying to fix his guilt, not his heart. Her words cut deeper than she intended. He went quiet, eyes downcast. You're right. Maybe part of me is trying to make peace with what I did. But another part still loves you. That never went away. The room felt smaller, her chest heavy. She could feel old feelings waking up, the kind she didn't want to face. Love isn't enough, she said, voice trembling. Not after everything. He nodded, swallowing hard. Then let me show you it can be. For a moment, neither moved. The sound of coffee machines, the chatter of strangers, everything blurred around them. It was just the two of them, two people who once had everything and lost it to silence. Emily looked at him, at the man who once made her feel seen, then made her feel invisible. She wanted to walk away again, but something about the way he looked at her now, not with confidence but with quiet regret, made her stay. She exhaled slowly. You know what scares me most? He looked up. What? That I still care, she whispered. After all this time. Daniel's eyes softened. Then maybe that means something. Or maybe it means I haven't healed, she said. He reached out across the table, hesitating halfway. Let me make it right, Em. She stared at his hand, the same hand she once held when the world felt simple. The same hand that let go without warning. Her heart screamed yes, but her mind whispered no. You can't fix 3 years of pain over coffee, she said, standing up. I'm not trying to fix it in one day, he said quickly. I just want a chance to try. She paused. His tone was desperate, but honest. That scared her more than anything, because she wanted to believe him. Daniel, she said, her voice low, don't promise what you can't keep. I'm not promising forever, he said. Just tomorrow. Something inside her cracked, a fragile mix of hope and fear. She turned toward the door, unsure if she was running away or giving herself space to breathe. Tomorrow, she said quietly. We'll see. He watched her leave, his reflection fading in the glass. The same door that once closed on their love now opened a second time. But neither of them knew if it was for healing or heartbreak. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Her thoughts were tangled with his voice, his words, the way his eyes softened when he said her name. Maybe people did change. Maybe time taught them how to love better. But maybe, just maybe, some stories were meant to stay unfinished. She checked her phone before bed. A new message from an unknown number appeared. He's not who you think he is. Emily froze, staring at the screen. The message had no name, no clue who sent it, just those words. Her heartbeat quickened. She typed back, "Who is this?" No reply, just silence. The rain started again outside her window, And in that silence, she realized something. This story wasn't done testing her heart yet. She looked at the message again, unease washing over her, and whispered to herself, "What if I've let the wrong person back in?" Emily woke up with a strange heaviness in her chest. The message from last night still glowed on her phone screen. "He's not who you think he is." No name, no number saved. Just those 8 words that kept echoing in her head. She wanted to ignore it. She wanted to believe that people didn't send random texts to ruin second chances. But something about it felt personal. Too personal. Someone out there knew her, or worse, knew Daniel. Her morning passed in slow motion. Coffee tasted bitter, music sounded dull. Every little thing reminded her of their conversation the day before. The way Daniel had looked at her. The way he'd promised to be honest this time. She wanted to believe him, but doubt had already planted itself like a quiet shadow. By afternoon, Daniel called. "Hey, Em, you okay?" She hesitated. "Yeah, just tired. You sure?" "I'm fine," she lied, forcing cheer into her voice. "What's up?" "I was wondering if you'd like to take a walk. Maybe talk without coffee between us this time." Part of her wanted to say no, to protect herself, to stay in control. But the truth was she missed him. Even after all the pain, she missed the way he made ordinary days feel special. "Sure," she said finally. "Where?" "Central Park, the spot near the bridge. You remember it?" She smiled faintly. "Of course." Later that evening, she saw him waiting by the old bridge, hands in pockets, that same half smile that once made her heart race. For a moment, she almost forgot about the message. "Hey," he said, walking toward her. "You look—" "Don't say different," she cut in with a laugh. "Everyone says that." He grinned. "Then I'll just say beautiful." She rolled her eyes but couldn't help smiling. They walked slowly, the sun dipping behind the skyline, painting the water gold. For a while it felt simple again. No past, no pain. Just 2 people catching up on lost time. But that peace didn't last. When Daniel's phone rang, he glanced at it too quickly, and pressed decline even faster. The same unease crept back into her stomach. "Who was that?" He hesitated. "Just a client." "Another client?" she said lightly, but her tone carried doubt. He looked at her for a long moment. "You don't trust me, do you?" She sighed. "I'm trying to, but you're making it hard." Daniel stopped walking. "Emily, I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm trying to fix things. Can we at least start there?" She looked at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. "Then be honest about everything. No more half-truths." "I will," he promised. "Ask me anything." For a second, she almost did. She almost asked about the message, the calls, everything that felt off. But something in her stopped. Maybe she was scared of the answer. Maybe she didn't want to ruin this fragile calm. So she nodded. "Okay, then start with this. Why now? Why come back after all this time?" Daniel took a breath. "Because I never stopped thinking about you. I thought I could move on. I tried. But every time something good happened, I wanted to tell you. Every time something bad happened, I wished you were there." His voice trembled slightly. "When I saw you again, it felt like I got another chance to say everything I couldn't before." Her heart softened. It was hard not to when he spoke like that, with quiet honesty instead of big promises. "You really think we can start over?" "I think we can start better," he said. They kept walking as the park lights flickered on. It almost felt like they were rewriting their story, one slow step at a time. Emily could feel her guard melting, replaced by the dangerous warmth of hope. After a while, they stopped near the bridge railing. He leaned closer, his voice gentle. "Can I ask something?" She nodded. "Did you ever stop loving me?" Her throat tightened. "I tried," she whispered. "But some memories don't listen." He smiled faintly, sadness hiding behind his eyes. "Then maybe we both have unfinished business." The wind brushed against her hair. It felt like the city itself was holding its breath. Daniel took her hand, carefully like a man afraid to break something fragile. For a brief moment, she didn't pull away. It felt right, dangerously right. But then, from the corner of her eye, she noticed someone across the street. A woman standing still, staring at them. When Emily looked directly, the woman turned and walked away quickly. Something about it felt off. "Daniel?" she said quietly. Do you know her? He turned but saw only a fading shadow. Who? Never mind, she said, forcing a small smile. Probably nothing. They stood there in silence, the weight between them returning. Emily's thoughts spun fast. The message, the calls, the woman. It all started to feel connected somehow. Daniel, she said slowly, can I ask one more thing? He looked at her. Anything. Is there someone else who thinks they still have you? He froze, caught between truth and fear. No, he said finally, but his tone wasn't steady enough to convince her. She pulled her hand away gently. You're still hiding something. I can feel it. He sighed, frustration slipping into his voice. Emily, I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. You have to give me time. Time isn't the problem, she said softly. It's trust. He stepped closer. Then tell me what I can do. Start with the truth, she whispered. He looked at her for a long moment, then finally said, There was someone before I saw you again. It wasn't serious, but I ended it. She didn't take it well. Emily's heart dropped. She didn't take it well? He nodded. She's been calling, showing up. I didn't want to worry you. She stared at him, disbelief and hurt mixing inside her. So the calls. The message. The woman tonight, that was her? Daniel looked away. Maybe. Emily took a step back, her pulse racing. You said you wanted to start over, Daniel. But you can't build something new with leftover pieces. I know, he said. I was just scared I'd lose you again if you found out. She shook her head. You were always scared of losing me. That's why you did. The silence between them felt like goodbye. Daniel reached out, but this time she didn't let him touch her. Emily, please, don't walk away. Her eyes shimmered under the streetlight. I'm not walking away, Daniel. I'm stepping back before I fall again. She turned and walked toward the subway, her steps fast but unsteady. Daniel stayed there, watching her disappear into the city lights, guilt burning in his chest. When Emily reached home, her phone buzzed again. Another message, same unknown number. He's lying again. Her fingers trembled as she stared at the words. Outside her window, the rain began to fall, the same kind that started everything. Emily looked at her reflection in the glass, her voice a whisper. What if this time, the person I need to protect myself from is the one I still love? The next morning, Emily didn't open the curtains. The city outside could wait. Her mind was too loud, too crowded with questions that had no answers. The second message, he's lying again, replayed in her head like an echo she couldn't silence. Who was sending them, and why did they sound so certain? She thought of Daniel's face the night before. The guilt, the hesitation, the truth that came too late. Maybe the messages weren't from a stranger. Maybe they were from the woman he claimed was not serious. The one who didn't take it well. Emily wanted to believe him, but every word he'd said now felt heavier, like it carried something unseen beneath it. By noon, she couldn't take the silence anymore. She grabbed her coat and walked out, letting the cold air hit her face. She needed clarity, not closure, not promises, just the truth. She texted Daniel, "Can we talk?" His reply came almost instantly. "Always, my place at 6?" She agreed. But as she typed the word okay, a part of her knew this conversation would decide everything. Evening came too soon. The city lights flickered against the wet pavement as Emily walked toward his apartment. Her reflection followed in every window, a woman torn between what was real and what she wanted to believe. When Daniel opened the door, his face softened. "Hey, I was hoping you'd come. Can I come in?" she asked quietly. Of course. The room smelled faintly of coffee and rain. There were papers on the table, an open laptop, and 2 mugs. Ordinary things, but they didn't feel ordinary anymore. He gestured for her to sit. "I know you're upset," he began. "If this is about last night..." "It's about the truth," she interrupted. "All of it," Daniel exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. "I told you everything." "No," she said. "You told me what you thought I'd accept." Her voice was calm, but sharp enough to make him pause. "I got another message," she said quietly. "Someone's warning me about you." He frowned. "What do you mean?" "2 messages. No name, just warnings. One said, "You're not who I think you are." Daniel's expression shifted, confusion turning to frustration. Emily, whoever's sending that is trying to ruin this. Then who could it be? She pressed. You said she didn't take it well. Was that her? He stayed quiet too long enough for the silence to answer for him. Finally, he said, "Maybe. She's been reaching out. Calling, texting. I haven't answered." Emily's heart sank. "You should have told me." "I didn't want to scare you," he said. She shook her head. "You didn't want to lose me." Daniel's voice softened. "You're right. I was selfish. But Emily, I meant what I said. I'm done with the past." She stared at him, searching his eyes for something real. "Then prove it. Delete her messages. End this properly." He nodded, pulling out his phone. "Done." He showed her the screen. Messages erased, number blocked. There, no more ghosts between us. It should have made her feel better. But something still felt off, like the truth was only half spoken. "Daniel," she said slowly, "why didn't you tell me about her before you came back?" He hesitated, then said, "Because I didn't think you'd give me another chance if you knew." She sighed. "You were right." The words hung between them like quiet thunder. For a long moment, neither spoke. Outside, the rain started again. Soft, steady, like a heartbeat against the windows. Emily stood up. "You say you've changed, Daniel, but people who change don't hide pieces of the truth." He looked at her, desperation in his voice. "Then tell me what to do. Tell me how to fix this." "You can't fix it," she said. "You can only stop breaking what's left." Daniel's shoulders dropped. "So this is it?" She wanted to say no. She wanted to stay, to believe that this time would be different. But something inside her had shifted. She realized she wasn't that same girl who once waited for him to choose her. "I don't know what this is," she said softly, "but I know what it isn't. Peace." He reached for her hand, but she stepped back. "Emily, please, don't walk away again." Her eyes glistened. "You keep saying again like I didn't have a reason last time." For a long moment, they just looked at each other. Two people who still loved, but no longer fit. Then Emily whispered, "You were my favorite what if, but I can't live there anymore." She turned toward the door, her hand trembling as she reached for the handle. Daniel's voice broke behind her. "So this is goodbye?" She paused. "No," she said softly. "This is me finally saying it." She walked out, leaving the door slightly open behind her. The hallway lights flickered, reflecting off her tears. She didn't look back. Not this time. Outside, the air felt lighter, and for the first time so did she. She walked through the rain without an umbrella, the cold drops washing away everything she'd been carrying for years. When she reached her apartment, she felt exhausted but strangely calm. She poured herself tea, sat by the window, and watched the street below. Quiet, alive, free. Maybe this was what healing looked like. Not dramatic, just peaceful. Her phone buzzed again. For a second, her heart jumped, half fear, half hope. She picked it up. Another unknown message. This time it said, "You did the right thing." He needed to hear goodbye. Emily stared at the screen, a faint smile tugging at her lips. Whoever had been sending them, whether it was that woman or someone else, they were right. She finally did what she should have done years ago. But then, just as she placed the phone down, another message appeared. "Same number. He's leaving tonight. You should see what he left for you." Her brows furrowed. She typed quickly. "What do you mean?" No response. Emily's curiosity flared. She shouldn't care. She'd already said goodbye. But her heart, the same foolish heart that still remembered every detail, whispered one last time, "Go." She grabbed her keys and coat again. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, the streets shimmering under the streetlights. Daniel's apartment wasn't far, just a 10-minute walk that suddenly felt longer. When she arrived, the building was quiet. The hallway smelled like wet pavement and faded perfume. She hesitated before knocking. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. Then she noticed something. A small envelope slipped under his door. Her name written in his handwriting. Her heart pounded as she picked it up. Inside was a note, short and simple. Thank you for coming back. Even for a little while. You reminded me what love feels like when it's real. Take care of yourself, Emily. Always. Her eyes blurred with tears. She folded the note gently, holding it close. Maybe goodbye wasn't cruel this time. Maybe it was kind. As she turned to leave, her phone buzzed one last time. The unknown number again. He's gone. Emily froze. She didn't know if it meant he'd moved away, or simply decided to disappear again. This time for good. She looked back at the quiet hallway, at the door that once opened to love, regret, and everything in between. She whispered to herself, maybe some stories don't end. They just fade into memories. And walked away, unaware that Daniel's apartment lights had turned off only minutes before she arrived.